Sell your car, my father blurted out. Mateo's debt isn't going to pay itself. He said this after doubling my rent in a house that, secretly, was already mine. Then start packing, I replied. You have 30 days to leave. I handed him the eviction notice in front of 40 guests in the middle of a backyard disaster of a car reveal party. Sell the car, he repeated, without looking up from the screen in front of him. Mateo's debt isn't going to solve itself. I froze halfway to the fridge, carton of orange juice still in my hand. What did you just say? I asked. He looked at me as if I were the irrational one. Your brother is trying to build something, he's under pressure, and I know, I said flatly. Isabel, my mother, sighed from the kitchen. Alejandro, you have a good job. Mateo just needs a little help. That word again, help. Their usual way of saying I should give them money. I closed the fridge and leaned against the counter. You just doubled my rent, remember? Fernando waved his hand dismissively, as if I were being overly demanding. And you still pay less than others. Right, I said flatly. Let's double it again and call it charity. My mother sked. Don't be rude. Mateo is your brother. Yes, I replied. He's also 32, lives in the basement rent-free, and hasn't had a stable job in 2 years. But sure, let's squeeze me dry. A long, heavy silence followed. My father continued as if nothing had happened. You've always been good with money. Because I actually work, I thought, but didn't say it out loud. Since graduating college, I'd worked nonstop, full-time job, side hustles, no debt, no trips, no luxuries. My car was 100% paid off. My savings were hard-earned. I gave up dreams, friends, any semblance of balance just to stay afloat. Mateo dropped out of 2 careers, got scammed by some crypto bros selling dreams. Now he's supposedly starting a business, which mostly involves playing video games until 3 a.m. and posting cheesy motivational quotes online. You said I could stay here for a year, I reminded them, to save, to get settled. I did, and now you raise my rent and ask me to sell my car for Mateo. He's your brother, Mom repeated, as if it were a fact etched in stone. Family helps family. I looked at them both and let out a short laugh. I'll think about it, I murmured. Dad nodded, as if it were already decided. I knew you'd do the right thing. I didn't say anything else. I went back to my room, closed the door, and sat on the bed, staring at the floor. They had no idea, not a clue, that I'd already made a decision. That they didn't know what was coming. Let's just say, when Mateo's big moment arrived, they were in for a surprise. Not the kind they expected. But before we get there, you need to know how all this started. It wasn't just one awkward kitchen conversation. It was years of quiet pressure, years of giving while they waited, until I forgot what it was like to live for myself. Mateo's big day was just the spark. The fire had been burning for a while. It all started when I moved back home after college. It was supposed to be just a year, save some money, get stable, move on. That's what Dad said. That was 3 years ago. Since then, I'd paid rent, bought groceries, fixed broken things around the house like that time the pipes burst, and helped Mom with surprise credit card bills more times than I could count. I never complained. I thought that's what a good son was supposed to do. But what made it unbearable was the unfairness. Mateo, my younger brother, spent 5 years finding himself, which really meant burning through cash on useless hobbies and failed schemes. He always needed a handout. Mom would always say, he just needs more time. Dad would tell me, you're the older one, Alejandro. Be an example. But what does being an example even mean anymore? I worked 60-hour weeks doing tech support. Mateo slept until noon and uploaded fake productivity photos from the couch, hashtagging #hustle. Let me paint you a picture. In 2019, Mateo planned to launch a dropshipping business. I covered the cost of registering his company and paying for a Shopify account. In 2020, he pivoted to YouTube. I bought him a camera and microphone until the ad revenue comes in, he said. And in 2021, it was all about crypto. That time, I didn't give him a cent. Instead, he took out a personal loan for 22,000 euros. Lost it all in less than 2 months. And now, somehow, I'm expected to sell my car to help him pay off a loan he couldn't handle. The thing that stung the most was this. I said no, and suddenly I was the villain. One night, I came home to find my parents sitting at the kitchen table, as if waiting to scold me. Matteo isn't like you, Isabel said. He's more emotional. You have a job, a stable path. He's pursuing something bigger, added Fernando. Oh, I'm sorry, I replied. Does employment give him hives? Stop being unpleasant, Fernando snapped. He's making an effort, but the pressure of his debt is causing him anxiety. Then let him pawn his PlayStation, I shot back. Maybe his stress will disappear if he starts budgeting. Dad stood up. Enough with the sarcastic comments. And enough with living here without contributing. Seriously? I retorted. You raised my rent by almost double while he doesn't pay a euro. He's family, Mom said. So am I replied. They didn't say anything. They just stared. After that night, things got worse. I started noticing little things. Matteo ordering takeout on the family credit card. A package addressed to me, ripped open and tossed aside, a new work phone. His girlfriend, Sophia, staying over almost every night, eating our food, mocking my budget, calling me rigid for paying for my own things. And then came the breaking point. It was a Sunday. I was trying to nap before my night shift. Matteo barged into my room without knocking. Hey, he said. You have good credit, right? I sat up. Why? He chuckled like the answer was obvious. I want to renegotiate my loan. Can I use your name? They'll give me better terms. I stayed silent. He kept grinning like he was asking for a slice of bread. You want me to co-sign your loan? I asked. Just for a while, he replied. You have excellent credit. No risk. You're not even using it. Nothing to lose. I didn't get up. I walked past him without a word. Now you're mad, he asked, following me. I didn't answer. Wow, he muttered. You always think you're above us, just because you have money. You owe us. That sentence cut through me. Owe them? For what, exactly? For feeding me as a child? For raising me in a home where affection came with conditions and praise only arrived when another failed harder? They didn't raise a person. They raised a wallet. A silent source of funding with no rights, only duties. Something inside me shifted that night. For the first time, I didn't feel tired. I felt done. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just started making plans. Slowly, quietly. Because working in tech taught me something. The best way to break a system is from the inside. And my family was that system. My mistake was thinking I was part of it. I wasn't. I was just the battery keeping it alive. And I was tired of charging it. Matteo had a big event coming up. He thought it would be exciting. I had something else planned. 30 days. An envelope. No warning. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You'll understand. Matteo's big day was supposed to be epic. A reveal party for his new brand. He had t-shirts made with a slogan that made no sense. Put together a promo kit using Canva. Invited everyone to the backyard like he was about to ring the NASDAQ bell. The night before, Fernando asked if I could help set up the speakers. I said no. You're really not coming? Mom asked from my doorway, as if I were being punished. It's your brother. It's your duty to be there and support him. I am, I said. She didn't like it, but I didn't care anymore. They'd crossed all the lines. I was just drawing a new one. One they wouldn't be allowed to cross back. The morning of the event, I printed the documents, tucked them into an envelope, and reviewed every page twice. The law in our area requires 30 days notice for a legal eviction. I followed every rule because if I was going to burn that bridge, I wanted proof in hand. By noon, Matteo was outside, wearing sunglasses and barking orders like he was directing a movie. Where's the sound? Who has the music queued up? He yelled at no one in particular. Fernando was at the grill, flipping burgers. Isabel was preparing fake champagne glasses on a folding table like this was some celebrity bash. I stayed inside, sipping from my problem solver mug, watching the backyard chaos through the glass. Very fitting, actually. I waited until all the guests arrived. I waited until Mateo took center stage with a borrowed microphone, speaking proudly about how perseverance trumps privilege and how none of this would have been possible without his team. I walked out just as people began to clap, envelope in hand. I walked straight toward him and handed it over. "What's this?" he asked, grinning. "A surprise," I said. "You have a month." He laughed. "A month for what?" Fernando was already approaching, confused. Mom froze, champagne glass halfway raised. "To leave," I replied, loud and clear. My voice didn't waver. The music stopped. "You're not serious," Mateo said, opening the envelope. "I am," I replied. "It's a legal document. This house belongs to me. You're not a tenant. You're a problem. A big one. And I'm done dealing with it." "Alejandro, what is this?" Fernando roared. "You can't do this." "Yes, I can," I cut him off. "And I have. You doubled my rent, asked me to sell my car to cover his debt, and called it fair." "This isn't the time," Isabel said stiffly. "This is exactly the time," I replied. "Because I want everyone to hear this." I turned to the guests, neighbors, family, freeloaders. "For 3 years, I've paid the rent, covered the bills, fixed things in this house, while others did nothing. I bought groceries while Mateo bought equipment for businesses that failed before they started. I watched him crash and burn on every project while I became the backup plan, the emotional rug, the family ATM. "You're exaggerating," Dad said again. "Oh yeah," I retorted. Then I turned to Mateo. "Did you, or did you not, ask me last week to co-sign a loan for a company you haven't even launched?" Mateo turned red. "It was just an idea," he muttered. "Exactly," I said. "You live in ideas. I live in effort." "I'm your brother," he yelled. "You're supposed to support me." "I did," I said, my voice colder than I'd ever used it. "I helped you become someone who never had to take responsibility. But that's over." Isabel gasped. "You can't say that to him." I looked at her directly. "You mean like how you talk to me? Like when you called me selfish for not selling my car? Or how you treated me like a walking bank?" Fernando stepped in. "Are you humiliating the family?" I let out a short laugh. This family humiliated itself. I just stopped pretending it didn't happen. Mateo's hands were shaking as he unfolded the letter again. "You can't kick me out. You don't even own this house." "Yes, I do," I said. I pulled out my phone, opened the mortgage app, and showed Dad the screen. "But it's 6 months ago. I'm the only name on the deed. You've all been living here on my dime." Silence. Dead silence. It was perfect. "You never said anything," Mom said. "You never asked," I replied. "You just assumed I'd carry it all." I turned to walk back into the house, but stopped. "Oh, and one more thing," I added, glancing over my shoulder. "Nobody owes me rent for this last month. You have 30 days, but if you're still here after that, it'll be the Guardia Civil explaining it to you." I went back inside and closed the door behind me. And, for the first time in a long time, I could breathe. After the backyard explosion, the house went quiet. No one said a word all day. Mom disappeared into her room with a can of soda. Dad remained frozen at the kitchen table like a soldier caught in old memories. Mateo slammed his door so hard it knocked a picture frame off the wall. I turned the music up, locked my room, and took the deepest nap of my life. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel tired. I felt dangerous. But the quiet didn't last. For days after serving the papers, I came home to find Fernando going through my mail at the dining room table. He was looking at bank statements, loan forms, legal documents. He didn't even try to hide it. "We're just trying to see what options we have," he said calmly. "You're really planning to evict your own family?" I raised an eyebrow. "My family are the ones who raised my rent, asked me to sell my car, and treated me like an ATM to fund Mateo's fantasy business." "That wasn't our intention," he muttered. "This house has always been everyone's, in a spiritual sense. I let out a dry laugh. Oh, so now you're emotional landlords? He didn't answer. Isabel walked in with a folded piece of paper and placed it on the table like it was a peace treaty. It was a breakdown: groceries, utilities, house expenses. Things I'd been paying for years without a word. This is what we owe you, she said quietly. We want to make things right. But please, talk to Mateo. My face hardened. I will, I said. But not by talking. That afternoon, someone knocked on the door. I thought it was more drama. It wasn't. It was Claudia, Mateo's ex. She looked different. Calmer. Like someone who'd just escaped something terrible. I heard about what happened, she said, holding a folder. I opened the door and didn't say anything. He told me you agreed to back his loan, Claudia said. But it's a lie. I was on that loan at the beginning, until 2 months ago, when he changed all the information. I took the folder from her hands and froze. Mateo had forged my name, my contact, my social security number. He'd used my identity behind my back. My jaw tightened. He didn't just lie to me. He lied to the bank. He's been dishonest with everyone, Claudia said. Even himself. I called my lawyer. We reviewed every detail, every forged line, every fake message. You have a very strong case, he said. Forgery, identity theft, possible fraud. It will depend on how the funds were used. I stared at the screen. Mateo hadn't asked for help. He'd pretended to be me. And no one, not even Isabel or Fernando, had done anything about it. The next day, I gathered everyone for one last dinner. They came, visibly uncomfortable. Fernando, stiff. Isabel, clutching a tissue. Mateo wouldn't even look at me. I placed the folder in the center of the table. No need for dinner, I said. Mateo, you forged my identity to get your loan. That's not possible, Mom said breathlessly. Look at the proof, I replied, pushing the papers forward. Emails, records, signatures. All legally verified. Mateo stammered. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was going to explain. No, I cut him off. You were going to let me carry the debt while you played entrepreneur in a hoodie. Dad tried to intervene, but I stopped him with a look. I've spoken to a lawyer, I said. If Mateo isn't gone in 10 days, and that loan isn't cleared in a month, I'm going to court. Mateo's face crumbled. You'd ruin everything. You already ruined my credit, I said. I'm just trying to save myself. That night, he left. No apology. No goodbye. He vanished like a thief in reverse. He left nothing but damage. Days later, while making coffee, Mom tiptoed in. She left a small envelope next to my mug. Inside, a handwritten note. We didn't see how much you were carrying. We don't ask for your forgiveness, but we understand now. I read it, folded it, didn't say anything, not yet. And just when I thought it was over, another thing arrived. A letter. Real paper. No return address. It was from Claudia. I know this might seem sudden, she wrote, but my company has an opening in Madrid. It's a systems analyst position. Housing support included. You're probably tired of fixing what others break, but this isn't about fixing. It's your chance. If you're ready for a fresh start. I leaned back and stared at the page. Madrid. A city where no one knew me. Where no one knew how much I'd suffered just to exist in the house I once thought was mine. I folded the letter and smiled. They treated my piece like it was free, so I took back everything else. Now I had something I hadn't had in years. A choice. And this time, it was only mine. Even now, sometimes I hear it in my head. Fernando shuffling papers, groaning for attention. Isabel using silence as a trap. Mateo's voice yelling from the hallway, "This is supposed to be for me. You're my brother." It used to shatter me. Now it just reminds me why I left. 2 weeks after Mateo's disappearance, the house felt strange. Not peaceful. Fake. Like when a storm ends and the sky is too quiet. My parents acted like everything was fine, but we all knew it wasn't. They moved around me like I was a bomb about to explode. Every morning, I'd hear whispers. Whispers about bills, food, house maintenance. Things I used to handle silently. And this time, I let them. Not out of anger, but because they needed to feel it. Feel what it was like when I wasn't there. 3 days before the deadline, I came home to find Fernando on the stairs. He didn't yell. He didn't act indignant. He looked small. "I'm trying to rent a place," he said quietly. "They want proof of income, credit reports. It's been a while since I've done this." I nodded. "You'll figure it out." "No," he insisted. He didn't blame. He didn't mention Mateo. It was the first real conversation we'd had in years. The day they moved out, Isabel handed me an old envelope on a tray of food. "It's not much," she said, "but it's something." Inside, there was 320 euros in cash. I didn't take it. I didn't need it. The food sat in the fridge for weeks until I threw it out. But the gesture stayed with me. Mateo never reached out again. No apology. No explanation. Just another Instagram photo of him sitting in a shared office, typing away at nothing real, chasing the same dream. He now called himself a resilience coach. Resilience to what? Being told no? The post had 8 likes. I wasn't the 9th. That should have been the end. But a month later, a message appeared. It was from Laura, an acquaintance of Claudia's. "I read your story on Reddit," she said. "What you did helped more people than you know. So many of us have a Mateo in our lives. We needed to see someone stand up and win." I read her message 3 times. Not because I doubted it, but because it was the first time anyone had seen me as a fighter. Not the villain. 2 weeks later, I packed my things. Accepted the job in Madrid. Started over. New job. New apartment. No freeloaders. No emotional blackmail. No more dinners with the phrase, "You should help Mateo." And yet, sometimes, I catch myself opening the old banking app out of habit. Looking for missing money. Waiting for another emergency. But there's nothing there. Just my money. My life. That's when I understood. They never loved me. They loved what I was for them. The reliable one. The fixer. The one who always said yes. The money machine. The unpaid parent. The backup solution. And when I stopped playing that role, suddenly I was the selfish one. The ungrateful one. The cruel one. But now, sitting in a cafe in Madrid, laptop open, phone silent, I finally feel the thing they feared most. Freedom. I paid off the mortgage. Sold the house. Invested the money. I keep a copy of the eviction notice in a drawer. Not out of spite, but as a reminder. Saying no isn't cruelty. Walking away isn't evil. Boundaries are survival. People ask if I miss them. The holidays, the dinners, the family. The closeness. I tell them the truth. I don't miss my family. I miss what I thought having one meant. What I had was emotional debt wrapped in fake affection. Loyalty with conditions. I don't miss that, not one bit. And if you're reading this, if you're their version of me, the silent helper, the constant sacrificer, the one who never says no, you're not cold. You're not broken. You're not wrong. You're just exhausted. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to give yourself the one thing they've been taking from you for years: freedom. And here's the truth no one told me: being the villain in their story is totally worth it if it means you finally get to be the hero in yours.